welcome back to another and our final episode of Hump Day Hangout for the season. I'm Bree.
And I'm Neve, and today we caught up with the UOW's theatre students to talk about their upcoming production. We also chatted to someone from UOW Motorsports, and finally, of course, we have our 3-minute thesis.
But up first, let's hear from our production students.
Today I am joined by Sienna Poloni and Blake Hahn, our third-year Bachelor of Performance and Theatre students and members of the upcoming iconic production of Yeah Nah by Lucy Heffernan. A rewrite of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. Sienna and Blake, thank you so much for chatting to me on the opening of your big show. How are we feeling?
Nervous as always, but yeah, pretty good.
Always good feelings though.
Yeah,
You
I'm
got
excited.
to start with the nerves. Yeah, excited.
Yeah.
There we go. Beautiful. And guys, can you tell me just a little bit about how did Yeah Nah come about?
So it was originally written for a cast in 2021, so it was written for COVID. And then we have just kind of in the process of getting the script being cast into it, we've just adapted it to us.
Yeah, beautiful.
To it from there.
Adapted it to the stage.
Yeah, it used to be Zoom. It was all done on Zoom, and then
Yeah, during
adapted
COVID.
it, yeah.
Because I guess no one could be in here.
no.
Yeah.
So it was originally like it was like a web series kind of play
wow.
thing
It's
that's
somewhere
now
on
been
YouTube.
shifted over to a play.
So many of us know the storyline of the original. How is Yeah Nah different?
It is the same.
It
mostly.
is mostly the
It is
same.
mostly the same, although it is in the case like we've had to adapt because we have a smaller cast than what would be if you were to have the original play on. We do have a smaller cast in comparison, so we have adapted things like the royals into being encaptured in one character.
Yes.
Ironically,
It's also
Blake's
like
character.
far shorter.
Far shorter, yeah.
Lots
it's a
of
lot
stuff's
shorter.
cut, but most of the main like plot points of the original are there.
Yeah.
And the ending's slightly different. but
Yeah.
We'll keep that.
No
we'll keep that as a
spoilers.
surprise. We won't
Spoilers,
share that
yeah,
one.
Yeah, it's been changed, yeah.
Beautiful. And can you tell me both a little bit about your characters and how does that differ from the Shakespeare original? I know you said it's really quite similar, but Blake, as you said, you're now
Yes.
multiple into one.
Yes, so my characters, I have two characters. I'm playing Gary, who is Mia's dad. So he's just like a big, loud Aussie guy who's meant to be, the king from the original, or the Duke. So he's, big and he's powerful, but he's also kind of goofy a little bit. And then my other character is one of the mechanicals, Rob, and he is just kind of a laid-back guy. He's chill. He's kind of the opposite of the other
Yeah,
one.
a bit of a juxtaposition keeps you excited.
And he rides a scooter.
Beautiful. On stage?
Yeah, on stage it was a risk assessment to be written.
Fair enough.
For me, I also have two characters. I'm Quince from the Mechanicals. For me, I'm playing it as a female instead of as a male in the original. The way that and my other character is Peas Blossom, one of the fairies. So how I've played Quince particularly is kind of the very has the kind of controlling nature and is very pedantic about things, but then also has that kind of mentality to still have fun with her mates, the other mechanicals, and kind of still feed into just we're just having fun and we're just having the time of our lives. And then with Peas Blossom, it's very, the fairies are very kind of, there's a mix between depending on which of the, if they're with the king or if they're with Oberon or Titania. With Titania, they're very much the stereotypical oh yes, we'll do whatever you want, our fairy queen. And then with Oberon, it's a bit more raunchy, I guess, a bit more we're playing into the this I guess the stereotypes of the how would you describe
You guys are
Oberon?
kind of like rocky rolly,
Rocky
kind of.
rolly, yeah.
okay.
You're like a little bit
Yeah.
more edgy.
Yeah, it's got that edginess
and
to
you
it.
kind of
Yeah.
balance between.
Well, that'll be
Yeah.
nice to see the
edginess and not,
juxtaposition
yeah.
between
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, because you've got the fairies don't have many lines particularly, but we're kind of in the background and kind of
Of a
of
lot of
different
scenes,
other scenes. So it is quite fun to kind of just be watching
be
and
present.
be observing.
Yeah, a little
and-
fly on the
yeah.
wall. No, lovely. And how do the themes of love, magic and conflict translate into this new version?
Well, it's mostly just because the story is pretty similar to the original, or is
Yeah.
the same as the original. It kind of ties in quite.
Yeah, I think a lot of
similarly.
the original like magic is still kind of involved
Present?
and
Just
it's
on
there.
a scooter this time.
And
Yeah.
look, not the only magic on the scooter is the tricks I'm pulling, but the like magic is still, you know, it's traditional. It's got the
Sprinkled in.
fairies with the
flower.
flowers and the
Yeah.
like, mythical stories and stuff. So
The best part, you got to keep it in.
Yeah, always.
So do you think like it is more tailored to like university students? And as you said, like the slang and things used like that, it's like more understandable.
I would say it is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's directed more at a younger, like a more like late teens, early 20s kind of audience, where it has that kind of fun humor. There are bits and pieces. There are like bits and pieces that reference like our generation as well.
yeah, there's little references in there.
Yeah, and so it makes it kind of like directed at giving like our generation a kind of introduction to finding an interest in Shakespeare again.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
as well as like the main group of characters, the lovers is aged up a little bit. So in the original, they're like teenagers.
Yeah, they're like 14 or something.
Because most of
yeah.
Shakespeare's works, they're all kind of teenagers because that
Yeah.
was the norm back then.
Yeah.
But we've actually, like, they're aged up a little bit, which does make it more relevant to our age people, I think.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're not looking at like two teenagers fall in love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, what do I-
It's, if you're looking at a group of like young adults, and there's also the with the adaptation of Lysander becoming Lysandra as well. That is
Yeah,
another
yeah.
element that's added to it, kind of giving another kind of relatability.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
queer
To
representation
the
has been
representation.
like throughout it now.
Yeah, it is.
And
It
there's-
is throughout. Yeah, the whole
Which
thing.
obviously
yeah.
is not in the originals.
No,
So.
not at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Sienna, what you said before as well, I really like that. The people falling in love with Shakespeare again.
Yeah.
And I guess we've seen so many adaptations over the years, but I just don't think it's a thing that ever gets old. Like,
No.
like things with like 10 Things I Hate About You. Like,
Yeah.
like those kind of adaptations, you almost don't realize that they are I didn't until someone told me. And then I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, of
Yeah,
course.
it's
Like
Shakespeare.
the storyline's like kind of flipping
yeah.
through. So I love that as you said that, like people falling back in love with Shakespeare and might as well be like a door open for so many younger people. So like look back into that kind of thing and
Yeah.
readdress those stories. What do you hope the audience takes away from this new version of A Midsummer Night's Dream?
Finding Shakespeare again and getting
Yeah.
that interest again, and it's also the finding a new way to kind of interact with it, because like Shakespeare, like he himself might be dead, but his works aren't, and it's more, there are so many ways that you can interact with Shakespeare's work, and through like it's just seeing productions like this and previous ones that our director has done as well, you can see that like we can still interact and use Shakespeare's works again. It's just we can just do it differently now and find new ways to make it, I guess, more interactive with us and with our generations, and yeah.
Something that'll never go out of style. It'll just continue with the generations as things change, as
Yeah.
society changes. I guess it can just like reflect on through.
If you want to just see something different that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, you've never seen Midsummer Night's Dream like this.
Not like this.
I love that, and that's our tagline. You've seen it, but not like this.
Not like this,
Whoa.
no.
Put it in.
Put it in.
Someone write that down. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming in, guys. I really
worries.
appreciate it, and good luck for tomorrow night, and
Thank
enjoy the
you.
rest of your rehearsals. Beautiful.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you for that interview, Ellie. Up next, we have Brady talking to Connor from UOW Motorsports.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm joined by Connor from UOW Motorsports. How you doing today, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. For yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. So we're talking about cars today.
Yes, we are.
UOW Motorsport.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we compete in the Formula Society of Automotive Engineers competition. So it's a global comp, involves universities. And so every year they all get together, they build an electric, a petrol or an autonomous car, and they compete against each other. And it's based around sort of how well the car drives, how fast it is, and they also judge you on your knowledge and like the processes and the thought behind the car that you've built.
Mm-hmm. And what are you currently building now?
So we're building our 2024 EV. So this will be our 7th electric car that the team has built, sort of coming to the end of our second design cycle of this generation of cars. So next year will probably be a bit of a ground up redesign, but this year we're sort of just taking what we know that works, making some pretty good improvements, and then seeing how it goes.
I remember you telling me about petrol cars not being in the works anymore. Why is that?
I guess it's just the way the competition's moved. Sort of the pinnacle of motorsport, as a lot of people know, is Europe. So a lot of the European teams started to go from petrol to electric about 2010, maybe a bit earlier, maybe a bit later. Australian comp followed suit probably 5 years later. And then I guess a lot of universities and sponsors and so on and so forth just decided that it was the correct direction to go for sustainability and also for the performance you get out of them as well. I know a lot of people like the noise that the petrol cars make, but when it comes down to it, a lot of the electric cars will outperform the petrol cars. There's a pretty big gap between them. So that's sort of the way the comp's been moving.
I know for a fact I'm a sucker of a petrol exhaust.
Yeah, they sound pretty good,
Yeah.
but in a straight line and on the track, electric cars will beat them any day.
Yeah, just overall better.
Overall, in terms of performance, when they're to work on them, it's a lot harder. You need a lot of pretty bright-minded people. Petrol, you can get away with, if people worked on their cars at home or motorbikes, whatever, they can transfer that knowledge. But for electric, there is some crossover, but you sort of want kids and students who really know what they're doing with the electric and the coding inside of that.
Mm-hmm. You said pretty bright-minded people.
Yep.
Are all of those people students at the UOW?
Yes, they are. Yeah, so our competition, to compete and be in a team, you have to be a student. So UOW, our team's, this is our 24th year competing, so next year's our 25th anniversary. And for us, we're all students. And we're all doing different degrees, engineering, business, whatever. Just really anyone who's interested can come along and help. Definitely a lot of hours.
What will somebody get out of it? When they put the hours in, what do they get out of it?
It's like sort of an evolution on what they learn at uni. So we offer a really, really good practical experience, both in the engineering and science and computer science side, but also the business and arts and so on and so forth side. So we operate as if we are like a proper racing team. So we've got the technical team who build the car, and within that, you're really stepping up the level of knowledge you have. Like you can take what you've learnt in your classes, but then also apply that to the team and just, you keep evolving and adding layers onto it. So your knowledge, when you finish the team, is, miles above what you might find with someone who maybe hasn't just done their degree and moved on. And then with the business side, we handle so much stuff. So sponsorship, media, human resources, finance, tons of stuff. And so for them, it's a really good opportunity to put what they're learning again into practice. Yeah.
How about the sponsors? Who sponsors UOW Motorsport?
So we've got a lot of long-standing sponsors. So one of our longest-standing partners, BlueScope. So they've been supporting us since the team started. A whole bunch of local companies. So that ranges from companies like Sakona Battery Technology, who are doing some pretty cool stuff in the battery and EV space. We've got a company called PPM, so Project Portfolio Management. So they do a lot of big projects, so like at BlueScope and stuff like that. So they help us provide some really good insights into how we can better manage the project. As well as we've got sponsors who help us with parts and financing and give us discounts on stuff and access to services and machining. We also try to tap into research groups within the university. So a big one for us, we started this year, was a group called Surflex Lab. So they do a lot of research with surfboards, but the good thing is they've also got a big machine that makes custom foam parts. And so our aero team went, yep, let's use that. So that's how we've made a lot of our aero parts this year. So they've been really helpful with us. So there's a wide range. It's not just, people don't just throw us cash and expect to get something out of it. Like there's a lot of, what they put in. Again, we try to reciprocate that and give back to them and give them opportunities to hire good quality graduates, attend events, get their name out there and amongst the industries that they're working in.
Yeah, I'm sure a foam build would definitely bring the weight down of the car.
Yeah, so we're using them to make the aerodynamic parts. So we make the foam mould and then we lay carbon on top of it. And so that provides us with access to some really interesting geometry. So we can get really nice parts, both in the surface finish, but also in the complexity of things like the under tray of the car and the nose cone and stuff like that.
So your build, how close is that to being finished? Is it finished?
It's not finished yet. Again, there's always stuff that can be worked on. So for us, we tested for the first time yesterday, which is pretty sick.
How did that go?
Great, it went pretty well. The car ran for pretty much, they used up a whole battery from what I've been told, which is pretty solid for the first run.
Sounds like a success to me.
Normally there's a lot of issues that happen when you test the car for the first time, but I think we're pretty lucky that our team has the experience and they learnt a lot from last year, and so that they're able to make sure that what they're doing when the car goes to get tested for the first time, like they did yesterday, it just works. And that's a pretty good achievement for us.
Is it going to be raced?
It will be. So the car gets raced in like time trial events as opposed to wheel-to-wheel racing, like V8s or F1. So the car gets put through, there's 4 different events that it gets raced in. So there's a skid pad event, so it drives in like a figure 8. So it drives like one circle one way, one circle the other way. They average the time, whoever's fastest wins that event. There's the acceleration test, so it's just how fast you can go down a straight and then stop. And there's the autocross event, which is where they set up a track and you do 4 laps you have a driver swap in the middle, and whoever gets the fastest time around that wins that one. And then there's the endurance event, which is probably the hardest event for the electric cars to win. A lot of teams, their cars will experience like the battery will die or something will go wrong because it is the hardest part. So it's it ends up being it's about 18 laps, around about 25, 26 kilometres worth of driving. There are other cars on track, so sometimes you do get a little bit of wheel-to-wheel racing, but generally they have little overtaking lanes. So if you're going too slow, they'll pull you aside and let the other guys pass.
So there's never any foul play between other universities?
No, there's not. There's not. No.
Yep. So it's coming up to the end of the year.
Yep.
Your build is nearly done.
Yep.
Do you have any sort of info you can give us of next year's build, or is that still in the works? Or is that all hush-hush?
Still in the works, I'd say. We've still got a lot of work on this year's car.
Yep.
I think the team will be quite busy until we compete, so not too much work will go into next year's car, but I think the plan is we want to start to move into a bit more of a design and building cycle where we start a little sort of towards the tail end of the previous year and we work towards it and it sort of overlaps. So for us, we'll probably start working on the new car once uni session's over.
Yep.
And then just keep testing and making sure the team's ready to go away and compete and hopefully get some good results.
Yep. So you'd be looking for new people to join.
Yes.
Next year.
Yeah, we are. We're always looking for new people. It's really important for us that we grow the team.
Yep.
The more people we have, the more people who are keen to help and who are enthusiastic about it, the better quality of a car we can produce, the better results we get, the more interesting and cool stuff we can do.
Yep.
So with a small team, you can do some pretty cool stuff, but when you start to get a little bit of growth, you can start really pushing what your team's able to do each year.
Yep. Beautiful. And just to wrap things up, do you have any socials that people can have a look at? Maybe they're interested in this club to come have a chat next. It's O Day, you said.
Yeah, so O Day, O Week.
Yeah.
So we're always there. Most uni clubs events, we're always there with the car and the sim and whatnot.
Yep.
So, but yeah, like we're pretty open to people coming and joining. And all of our socials is just at UOW Motorsport. So that's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn for the professionals. And then on YouTube, starting to move into that space a little bit. So a few things there. So
yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so people that are interested in the club can go check you out beforehand and
Yep,
then
for sure.
come meet you on that week.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
No
All right,
worries.
well, thank you very much for
It's
your
all
time,
good.
Connor.
No worries. Awesome. Thank you. Cheers.
That was awesome. I'm keen to see the car.
Yeah, it should be all right.
And finally, we have Kiara talking to our PhD candidate about her 3-minute thesis.
Across the course of Hump Day Hangout, we've heard from UOW PhD candidates who've battled it out to see who could best communicate their thesis in just 3 minutes. On the final instalment of Hump Day Hangout, we're chatting to Rachel Wiseman, PhD candidate from the School of Humanities and Social Inquiry. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Hump Day Hangout.
Thank you.
I had a little look at your 3-minute thesis prompt, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more about it. One line that caught my interest was moral values embedded in influential economic texts. Can you just break down for us what exactly your PhD was about in your thesis?
Sure. So the thesis looks at essentially morality, assumptions about what is good or worthy, and how moral intuitions underscore different perspectives, especially on conflicting issues, and looking particularly at economic topics. So what it does is it looks at moral assumptions in the economics discipline And it takes a first step towards that bigger picture by selecting the 3 most cited economic texts and analysing those using linguistic analysis for moral evaluations. And then it uses frequency analysis to understand which ones are the most prevalent.
Right, and you've also done about 10 years of like marketing work that
Yes,
also
in a previous life.
Yeah,
Yes.
prior to kids, as we
Yes,
were talking
yeah.
about. How did that influence your work coming into like getting your PhD?
Good question. I guess because I was working in the corporate marketing world. I worked on brands like Colgate, Palmolive, Glade. And I guess in that world, it was corporate marketing. And a lot of people see corporate marketers as the bad guys, perhaps. But when you're working in that world, everybody thinks that they're doing the good thing, the right thing, you know, creating innovation in different product categories, driving progress, making people's lives easier and better. And I guess an observation that struck me was that just people have different understandings and visions of what is good. And that can lead them down very different paths. And it's very easy for people in different camps to label each other as bad or wrong.
So this is something that you could, like, for once we hear your 3-minute thesis in a moment, people can kind of take away from this conversation that even in your own personal life, maybe not if you're working like in marketing or politics, in your own personal life, people can kind of take away everyone believes that they're the good guy in their own story and everyone sets out to do what they think is right.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's very easy to misunderstand other people if their moral motivations are different to your own. So it's about trying to uncover that and understand where people are coming from so you can have more productive discourse around polarized issues.
And then meet halfway.
Yeah, or find, you know, solutions that solve everybody's moral conundrums.
Okay, great. Well, let's hear your 3-minute thesis, Rachel.
Why should we care about morality in economics? Because the polarization that increasingly divides our society is often driven by conflicting moral values. And economic topics are among the most influential, yet the most divisive, raising questions around whether the discipline can truly be a value-free science, as it is sometimes claimed. Should we expand foreign trade or protect national workers? Is economic growth progress, or is it destroying the planet? Is capitalism itself good, eradicator of poverty and granter of rights? Or is it exploitation? Our moral values, that is our intuitive beliefs about what is good or worthy, drive what we see. This has been described as the emotional dog wagging the rational tail. And just like other humans, an economist's moral values can predict their policy views, school of thought, and even their quantitative estimates. Given the influence of economics, it is surely important that we identify the values present within the discipline. My research takes a first step. It draws on evaluative linguistics to analyse the 3 most cited economic texts for moral evaluations, followed by frequency analysis to measure those that are most prevalent. Results from Capitalism and Freedom by Milton Friedman have revealed 952 moral evaluations, the most prominent being freedom from interference and competition, whilst discrimination and centralised control are judged as immoral. These results are the first to empirically describe the assumptions about what is good that are embedded in dominant economic ideas, supporting that values treated as facts contribute to polarization on economic topics. By recognizing this, we can improve debate between economic schools of thought, as well as between economists and non-economists. For instance, an environmentalist challenging infinite economic growth would find it useful when engaging an economist like Friedman to address concerns around freedom and centralized control. Thus, policies that incentivize, like green technology grants, are more likely to gain support than those that impose constraints, like emissions limits. Ultimately, identifying the moral values that underscore economic perspectives can facilitate understanding and mitigate polarization, critical if we are to solve the important economic challenges facing humanity today.
Rachel, thank you so much for that, giving us your 3-minute thesis.
My pleasure.
I have to ask, what was it like actually giving that presentation on the day of the competition? Like, were you later on, like, did you listen to a bunch of other 3-minute thesis presentations? You were like, oh my goodness. Like...
Yeah, I was second to last, so I had a while to watch the others, which was really intimidating because they were amazing and they're all going up, and you think, oh, I'm never gonna compare. But it was really interesting listening to everybody's research. Like, the 3-minute thesis is such a good competition for that, like condensing it down into something that you can understand. And to be honest, it was just really fun. Like, the group of PhD candidates were all really supportive and we were all rooting for each other. And I think sometimes when you're doing a PhD, you're really passionate about it and you want to talk to other people about it, but usually their eyes glaze over. So to have a captive audience like that, where they can't exit the room and you just get to talk about your research, it was fun. Like, it was really fun, yeah.
And were there, once you'd like finished your 3-minute thesis, were there like questions from the audience? Like, what did they ask?
Yeah, the judges were allowed one question.
Yeah.
So they had one question per PhD, presentation.
Do you remember what they asked you, or?
Yeah, they asked me about positive and normative economics. Do you want me to get into it?
Yeah, I would love
Sure.
that. Thank you.
So traditionally, economics is divided into positive economics, which is supposedly value-free. It's descriptive what is statements, and normative economics, which is what ought to be, or policies to help you achieve a goal instrumentally. But my research is about uncovering values in economics, both in positive and normative. And the argument is that values impact positive economic analyses in ways that aren't always recognized, and also normative economics in ways that aren't always explicit. So it's about those implicit hidden value assumptions that are guiding analysis and economic conclusions.
Okay, so for people who are watching, which are likely, university students, things like that, and are more the consumers, and people who, people who are looking at the marketing that, economic directors put out and things like that. What's one thing that they can take away from your 3-minute thesis to kind of understand the values that go into creating marketing for like these different products and stuff they might see on the shelves or things like that?
Well, I guess my research doesn't directly answer that question, but I guess the thing to come away with is that there's assumptions about what is good behind most polarized topics, particularly economic topics. And when you're thinking about what you think's right or wrong in politics regarding the economy, whether it's housing affordability, inflation rates, cost of living, all these topics that have been quite controversial, it's about understanding that often there's different moral intuitions driving your perspective, and driving the perspectives of those on the other side. So like, everybody's got good intentions, it's just different versions of what good is. Yeah.
Okay, great. Rachel, again, thank you so much for coming on Hump Day Hangout.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to see what's in store next for you.
Thanks.
And that was your Hump Day Hangout episode for this Wednesday.
Hopefully we see you next season. Bye.